So finally, the Waterloo economy. I get into a lot of trouble talking too much about Waterloo at the University of Toronto because some of my colleagues see it as a competitor. But I find Waterloo a fascinating case study. I've been researching it for the past 10 or 12 years, and it's undergone a tremendous amount of change. So the thing that distinguishes Waterloo is that it's a highly diversified economy. For a city region of 500,000 people, has an amazing diversity of industry. It's a traditional manufacturing center from the 19th century. It's been an automotive center since the 1970s and the 1980s, both automotive parts, but now one of the largest Toyota plants in North America is located in Cambridge, Ontario, which is part of the Waterloo region. The first Toyota plant outside of Japan to produce a Lexus vehicle, they're very proud to tell you, but has great strengths in information and communications technology and advanced manufacturing. Also has a very significant, much underappreciated financial services sector, particularly in the insurance business. It has, but its real claim to fame is the research infrastructure. It has two strong universities and a seriously underrated community college. Conestoga College is quite an important asset to the regional economy. And when we talked to firms, though, it was surprising. We've probably done interviews with 100 firms over the period of our two projects in Waterloo. Very few of them talk about tight connections or ties with the university on major research projects. But they talk about turning to the university a lot for help on small-scale development projects. So one of our interviewees referred to this as Big D, little r, R&D being research and development. Waterloo firms tend to see the university as a source for help much more on incremental innovations or process innovations rather than major collaborations on long-term basic research projects. Where Waterloo has excelled over the past 2 decades is in building a strong, cohesive core of civic capital. I would say Montreal, on certain dimensions, has an amazing amount of civic cohesion, particularly at the neighborhood or the community level. But Waterloo, on a region-wide basis, has an incredible degree of what we refer to civic capital. They've built a very strong coalition of business interests, the university, and the local communities. I've interviewed 2 of the 3 mayors in Waterloo, and when you ask them what their role in this process is, they both will say it's to line up squarely behind where the civic coalition is leading, and our job is to support them. When the current Governor General was president of the University of Waterloo, and you went into the city, the region, and you asked who is the thought leader, who is setting the trends for where this region is going, unanimously the answer would come back, David Johnston. I don't hear that in any other city in the country. I can't think of another city in the country where civic leaders will point to the president of their university as the key thought leader for the regional economy. So, but what they have done better, I think, than any other city or region is they've made very strategic use of existing federal and provincial grants to help move and transition the knowledge base in the regional economy to new sectors and new industries. I mean, the University of Waterloo itself emerged in the 1950s out of a plan led by the president of B.F. Goodrich, the rubber company, to create a science and technology and engineering faculty to support the existing liberal arts college, which at the time was called Waterloo Lutheran University. And that became that's known as the Waterloo Plan. It became the basis for the founding of the University of Waterloo. And then through the 90s and the 2000s, we find repeated examples of a very strategic capacity to identify existing federal and provincial resources to bring it into Waterloo. The best and most current example is what they refer to, originally it was called the Digital Media and Mobile Accelerator Hub. It's now referred to as the Communitech Hub. This is the Lang Tannery Building, which in the 19th century was the largest tannery in the British Commonwealth. It's located right in the heart of downtown Kitchener. It was part of a strategy by the city of Kitchener to bring some of the software and high-tech industry in the region from Waterloo into Kitchener, which is the traditional manufacturing center. It houses the Communitech hub on the ground floor. Second floor is Google's headquarters in Canada, and third floor is a very successful Waterloo company that makes post-secondary educational software, Desire to Learn. It is an accelerator, an incubator. It houses part of what's called the Velocity program, which is a residence for student entrepreneurs at the University of Waterloo. They put them into an entrepreneurial residence in first-year university, and then there's a room in the hub where the students go and work side by side with entrepreneurs incubating their own companies. Has a strong focus on digital media and software development. And Waterloo has, their latest numbers suggest something like 400 startup companies in Waterloo region, 800 high-tech companies, so between 700 and 800 high-tech companies overall in the region. And this is funded partly with existing federal programs, existing provincial programs, and a substantial contribution, $50 to $60 million, contributed by local industry to turn this into the hub. And it really has become the focus of the high-tech community in Waterloo. So it's a joint initiative of Communitech, which is the High-Tech Industry Association, the Center for Digital Media, something new in Stratford called the Stratford Institute, which is affiliated with the University of Waterloo, and its goal is to combine Waterloo's expertise in digital media and mobile technology with the existing cultural capabilities in Stratford that are well known. Some of the private sector partners include OpenText, Christie Digital, RIM, AGFA Healthcare, ComDev, and as I said, funded by federal and provincial research programs. So, what is the evidence? The evidence, from what we've learned, is decidedly mixed. I think probably the more surprising examples in this are Calgary and Waterloo. Of the cases I've reviewed, those would have, the greatest evidence of potential emerging knowledge platforms. The Calgary one, I think, is more by inadvertence. The Waterloo one is much more by conscious design. So it shows that the presence of resilience is strongly influenced and reinforced by both private and public sector research capacity. And there's some examples of the Hamilton case is somewhere in between. The Toronto case, I'm not quite sure what to make of. I'm open to suggestions from the West on how we should understand what's going on in Toronto. But we definitely find evidence of resilience through moving into what we call these new knowledge platforms for the search for related variety and for the exploitation of these white spaces. And thank you. I'm happy to take any questions and expand on anything that wasn't clear.